The majestic Southern Alps of South Island, New Zealand welcome you 13,000 miles across the world to New Zealand. Good morning to you all from Lancaster Park, Christchurch. A crowd of 50,000 tensely awaiting kick-off on a glorious winter's day here. Crisp and clear, but bright sunshine, perfect conditions for rugby. And for rugby, a famous day, the first test between New Zealand and the British Isles, and played for the first time ever on this ground, the opening test of the series. New Zealand with a new captain, Andy Dalton, who takes over from the inspiration of Graham Murray. 3 new caps, including Fly Harpy and Dunn, inside centre Warwick Taylor. They're the unknown and perhaps vulnerable quantity. A new flanker, Jock Hobbs. The rest, well, world-renowned in quality. Knight, Mexted, Hayden, a survivor of the 77 series, the quicksilver genius of Dave Loveridge at scrum half, and the class of Picari. The British Isles, led by today's birthday boy, the 7th Irish Lions captain, Kieran Fitzgerald. Graham Price today plays his 50th international match. The middle 5, the back row and half-back, the real cornerstone of Lions' hope, with Squire, Winterbottom and Paxton, the ideal home, and Campbell world-class. And the New Zealand All Blacks prepare to take the field. The Lions already out and adjusting themselves to this bright light. Well, today we'll know how good a side this is, which as yet is not proven. Well, alongside me for the match, a warm welcome to Earl Curtin, renowned All Black fly half, and someone whose playing experience of British and New Zealand rugby is virtually unrivaled. He even played 2 seasons alongside me and lived to tell the tale. The referee, Francis Palmade from France, as New Zealand start this first test of the series through Alan Hewson, and the ball carries out immediately on the full. Earl Curtin, a quick thought on the possible pattern of this game.
Well, I think Ollie Campbell's got to kick, and he's got to involve Hewson, and I think he'll do that very early. And this will be the ball now. We'll get an idea of what's going on.
So, Holmes with the first scrummage put in. Back on the halfway line, the ball out on the fullwards. Ollie Campbell. And the first hoisted ball taken by Stu Wilson. And the Lions put on the early pressure. So you expect that the Lions will play a fairly tight game?
I think they must play it tight. The way they've selected the side looks as if they've got to play it tight.
First line out with Squire and Paxton at the tail of the line, and a bit of robust play, and the penalty against the Lions in this opening minute. So there's Alan Hewson with an opening touch find that must give him confidence. The 28-year-old from Wellington, already in action against the Lions. So about 10 metres outside the British Isles 22. Number 8 there, Ian Paxton. But it's the 2 number 5s, Wetton and Norster contending away from Loveridge, that lovely spin pass. First touch for the new cap, Warwick Taylor, Ringland. The ball still loose just outside the 22, and the whistle goes for the knock-on.
Well, it looks as if New Zealand are quite keen to spin it and move the ball to the back line, so it could be a jolly good game to watch. This is going to be interesting.
And they have, of course, enormous pace outside, but Loveridge feeds out. The free kick is against Andy Dalton for foot up. Francis Palmade, who, of course, refereed the British Isles in their first 2 tests in South Africa. Back there is Hewson, the ball not finding touch from Campbell. Hewson turns onto his favoured left foot.
Well, this is going to be a very interesting lineup, because this is it, the Hayden v. Cole Clubfoot. I think this will be the guts of the game.
Kieran Fitzgerald with the throw. Then there's Gary Knight, Graham Price. Norster it was who got the initial set down. Holmes to Campbell. This is out Irwin, straight through to Ackerman. Cross comes Roger Baird. Took it well, but the ball angled a bit flat. Roger Baird, who has really made quite an impression. His sheer pace and fluency on this tour has impressed many. Maurice Colclough there, number 4, with Andy Hayden. Just short of the All Blacks 10-metre line. That was Hayden to win it. The Lions through to spoil, led by Kieran Fitzgerald.
Do you notice that Look Beard's come across and they're playing an extra man in the back? They haven't done all tour. They're playing the Australian type formation.
And on the All Blacks throw-in, Tolson. Not straight enough, so in 15. His 15th international today, Francis Palmade from France. Holmes trying to get through, but it's neatly away from Loveridge to Wilson. Little chip through, back there is Campbell on the halfway line. What a good recovery. Following up his own kick, racing back is Ian Dunn, and a lovely touch from Ollie Campbell. Player who promises to be the key figure, not just through his immaculate place-kicking ability. New Zealand's 22. Step back from Colclough. Holmes to Campbell. That's Irwin. The switch to Ackerman. 2 sturdy centres that the British Isles have today. Down goes Price. Midfield, and the whistle of the referee.
Well, I think the Lions are surprising everybody, as you can see, right at the opening minutes of the game. One, they're winning the line-outs, and secondly, they're running the ball, which augurs well for a marvellous game.
Scrummage, midfield. Loveridge there, 18 caps to his credit, and on current form, perhaps the outstanding scrum half in the world. Front rows cave in. Nice pick-up by Dunn on the rather low pass, and a useful clearance by Ian Dunn, who's been a surprise selection really, coming through from very little representative rugby. The youngest of the famed Dunn brothers, Richard the scrum half and Eddie Dunn the All Black fly half.
He'd be very pleased with that. A fine kick for touch there. So he's done most things well. He's caught his early balls and found touch.
Just inside the New Zealand half. Taken in by Jock Hobbs, the new cap at flank, taking over Murray's place. This is Dunn, but caught this time well by Jeff Squire. About 8 metres outside New Zealand's 22. It's there for Holmes if he can recover on his feet. But a penalty for New Zealand going over the top, a penalty to the British Isles. So a chance for Ollie Campbell to score the first points of the match. And this was how it came. There was Holmes caught, and over offside, the penalty to the British Isles. So a chance for Ollie Campbell, who has been in remarkably fine goal-kicking form. 10 of his last kicks at goal have been successful, and clearly vital to give the Lions this early lead. It's well struck, and it's perfect for Ollie Campbell. So just 7 minutes played, and Ollie Campbell has set the Lions on their way.
Well, it's been a great start for the Lions. And I noticed, too, the way they're bringing the extra back in all the time. They must be going to use their 3 quarters. New Zealand taking a while to settle down. Dunn got caught badly there. In fact, he was done.
The restart by Alan Hewson. Up goes Colclough with Paxton. Back for Holmes, slipping just a little to Campbell inside the 22. Campbell, who's looked so composed and calm. This is his 4th game on the tour, and clearly hitting his peak at the right time of this long rugby year for him. There's Andy Hayden, the one All Black in this New Zealand side to have played against the British Isles in the last series here 6 years ago. About 8 metres outside the British Isles 22. That was Hobbs, the new cap. but off goes Paxton. And the Lions with Norster there, looking very lively in the loose then. Knight, Dalton, Ashworth for New Zealand on their put in the front row. Channelled by Mexted, up from Loveridge to Dunn. Up comes McNeil, outside the 22. And that rebounded off Wilson into touch. Well, the man with the nickname in Wellington circles of Ivory was the other Wellington winger in the test side, Bernie Fraser, with the nickname of Ebony. Our Lions 10-metre line. Puts the bottom through, but a penalty against him.
Well, the scrums obviously are pretty much even. I think they're both going to take their own ball. There's not going to be a decided advantage at scrums by the look of it.
So there's Winterbottom and the penalty to New Zealand, and a chance for Alan Hewson, who has kicked 107 points for New Zealand in 11 test appearances, and the man who, of course, in his last appearance for New Zealand kicked a world record points tally of 26. 26 points that did indeed include a try. Can he now level the scores? 10 minutes into this first half. Well struck. Superb. So just short of 10 minutes played, and Alan Hewson has levelled the score, a penalty apiece, and Hewson adds to his remarkable goal-kicking talent and scoreline. And that was sweet. Alan Hewson, one of the 3 Wellington provincial players in the back division. The restart by Ollie Campbell. Out on the full, as Murray Mexted judged it well. So that gives the initiative back to New Zealand. They're put in at the scrummage on that halfway line. Dave Loveridge. So sharp on the pass. Pops it up there to Warwick Taylor. Cross comes McNeil. That was a neat touch from the new cap from the local province, Canterbury. Alongside him, Steve Bucari. Winterbottom to the back. There's Norster again. Winterbottom supporting home to Campbell. Referee deciding the throw-in wasn't straight enough. So New Zealand put it about 6 metres outside the British Isles 22. The pick up by Mexted. Lions trying to drive into the Dutch line. And the use of the boot, the first incident in this game, as referee Francis Palmade penalises New Zealand. An indication of over-robust play by the All Black pack and the use of the boot. Holmes widens the angle for Ollie Campbell. Puts it out on the halfway line.
Well, one would call that dangerous stomping or anything like that. One would, New Zealand terms or terminology, would call that raking.
That's perhaps a significant difference of interpretation with a French referee here for this first test. The drive through by John Ashworth at the front. Sweetly out from Loveridge. Dunn's hoisted ball. Back goes Fitzgerald. Up comes Stu Wilson. Dropping on the Lions 22. There for Loveridge again to Dunn. Warwick Taylor. And a penalty, this time for raking by the British Isles. A very clear indication from referee Francis Palmade. So a very important decision that gives a very kickable penalty chance, which came from this setup by Warwick Taylor. And the Lions were penalised here for the use of the boot at that point, and not exactly clear from the replay, but the referee in no doubt. Ian Stevens is standing there. In the meantime, injury problems for Warwick Taylor, the 23-year-old in his first international, and what a day for him.
Well, it's great when you at least have regardless of interpretation, if you at least have the referee interpreting consistently all the time. So I don't think there can be any grizzle with that.
Warwick Taylor there of local university club and the Canterbury province, of course, has an important midfield role to fulfil with the retirement of Bill Osborne, who did those second 5/8 duties so well for so long for New Zealand. But he's all right. Bit of a gash there above the eye. So they take their positions to await Alan Hewson's penalty goal attempt. 14 minutes into this first half. Alan Hewson, 110 points now for New Zealand. 3-all the score lies as he attempts to give New Zealand the lead for the first time. Off the left foot, casually stroked, and perhaps a bit too much so. And almost cries of disbelief from the 50,000 crowd here at that relatively simple chance miss. Dropouts by Campbell. Touch given. And a formidable lineup in this All Black line-out. Hayden and Wetton. And of course the option of Mexted at the back. And a formidable option it is too. Just outside the line, 22. Mexted it is. Set up by Gary Knight. Still the drive forward. And off from Loveridge to Dunn. Chipped through for Wilson. Finds touch deep in the corner of that 22. And certainly looking, Earl Curtin, a composed newcomer this, Ian Dunn.
Yes, he's playing very well now again, very balanced. And it's terribly hard in your first test. A man never sleeping all night, having the butterflies there. He'll feel a lot happier now.
So the Lions virtually back to their own goal line. The take was by Hobbs. Loveridge looks to switch the direction, running out of support on the wide outside, as Wilson, I think, cuts back inside. Perhaps the wrong option there from Dave Loveridge for once. His path checked on the open side initially. Still the Lions within about 6 metres of their own goal line. Held back by Squire and Paxton. The referee, though, has already blown the whistle. And the throw-in not straight. There's Graham Price. Opposite him, John Ashworth. And all that put in 5 metres out. Off goes Mexted. Inside to Shaw. Loses possession as he tried to find Hobbs. Still those couple of metres out from the Lions goal line. And that threatening presence of the All Black back row so close to scoring. But the knock on, and the Lions have the put in. Referee calling the scrummage back to formation. Graham Price, the veteran of the Test series here 6 years ago, and again the collapsing scrummage. Ashworth, Dalton, Knight from this side, New Zealand front row against Stephen, Fitzgerald, Price. Still problems in the scrummage screwing round. And twice Francis Palmade has asked him to go down again and get to the right position. Again, the collapsed scrummage. Referee plays advantage to New Zealand. The drive through. Over goes Shaw to claim the try, but disallowed. And Mexted with him. But the Lions survive just. Still the pressure on the British Isles on their own goal line. And again, the front row's caving in. And the referee deciding that ball must have broken free of the grasp of that New Zealand back row for a Lions put in, where the infringement took place. Terry Holmes delaying the put in, having indicated to the referee, I think he was unhappy about the binding on that far side of the scrummage, and looked angered to Terry Holmes. But it's a penalty to New Zealand for what I think the referee would have judged to be a delayed put-in. And Holmes, I think here, there's the indication that he was not happy with the all-black binding that was going on. But the referee having none of it, and in turn penalising the British Isles to give Hewson a penalty chance. Well, it was on Ian Stevens' side of the scrummage that the problems were occurring. So Hewson and a chance to put New Zealand ahead again. 3-3 it stands. 19 minutes of this first half played. And that time it's right. So the pressure tells in the end as New Zealand comes on the Lions goal line, and Hewson puts them ahead with this kick. Never in doubt. 6-3 then, midway through this first half.
Well, I've waited a long time in New Zealand to see a New Zealand pack actually scrummage then better than a Lion side. It must be many years since that's happened, Nigel.
Ollie Campbell's restart. Hugh Wilson casually lets it drop down. Taken by Paxton. Back from Holmes. Campbell. Hopes, I think, to carry that one a bit further forward. It's dropping on the 22. Squire is first there. It falls well for Ackerman to Winterbottom. Off goes Paxton, and a chance for Baird, but taken out in the corner. Good counter surge there from the Lions. New Zealand quick to cover across to stem the tide, but the Lions looking lively. Winterbottom and Mexted contest. It's Colclough tipping it back. Price drives on. And the put in at the scrummage to the British Isles. There's Winterbottom, a real tear away of a flanker whose destructive capabilities are enormous. So we're just inside the New Zealand 22. Holmes with the feed. Campbell standing off for possible drop goal chance here, which he goes for. And straight through the post from Ollie Campbell. His third drop goal of the tour, and so nonchalantly done to level the scores. 21 and a half minutes gone. It was always on here, given the clean strike and heel and service. And there it was perfection, judged by Ollie Campbell. 6 points all. And Campbell again. Start by Hewson. All Blacks in possession. Well set up to Shaw. And now to Loveridge. Flicks inside to Ashworth, but the touch judge on that far side, Graham Harrison, signifying the ball in touch. There's Cowboy Shaw, number 6. quite a robust customer, that. Behind him, Mexted and Jock Hobbs, the newcomer. A talented back three. Inside the lines, 22. That's Paxton, number 8. Back from Fitzgerald, Holmes to Campbell. The charge down ball just ricochets into touch as Loveridge came through to put Holmes under pressure. Well, the good fortune there to the Lions that it did deflect and not stay in the grasp of Loveridge, because he would have been through unmarked. But that means the pressure's back on the British Isles goal line. From Fitzgerald. Goes from Mexted to Loveridge, but the pass behind Dunn, and Campbell breaks away. The fly hack through, covering is Taylor. Campbell is there with him. Back inside the New Zealand half. And great relief for the British Isles to recover in that style. And Ollie Campbell certainly making speedy amends for that momentary lapse. And the Lions have the throw-in through their captain, Kieran Fitzgerald of Ireland. Down from Paxton of Scotland, Holmes of Wales. Testing the defence again. Stu Wilson back inside the 22, takes it cleanly and does the needful. Stu Wilson, one of the great favourites since 1976, his first year of New Zealand international rugby. And attention for Jock Hobbs, the new cap.
Well, the Lions, or Kieran Fitzgerald throwing into line-up hasn't been good at all. I think he's given away about 3-4 balls with not being straight. And with the black pack driving in and rucking terribly well, you just cannot afford to not throw the ball in straight.
It does seem to have been a lingering problem, and certainly he's been working on it on this tour. The All Blacks replacements and selectors look on as the new boy, Jock Hobbs, requires attention. Hobbs, who's taken over, of course, that role played so marvellously well by Graham Murray on the open side flank. 23-year-old, captain of the local club side Christchurch. 6 feet 1, 14 stone, 23 years old, Hobbs, but all right. Shortened line-up by the Lions, the first variation. Paxton at the tail and the throw going awry to give possible New Zealand advantage, which didn't accrue, but a worrying moment for the Lions there with the rather wild throw from Kieran Fitzgerald. 5 metres outside the New Zealand 22. Loveridge to Dunn. McNeil waits. And returned in like kind. Mexted is back there. McNeil and Mexted both missing. It's back on the Lions side. Campbell now has a sally himself. It's followed by Loveridge about 12 metres out. Holmes is back in position to Ackerman. Ackerman going for the outside run. Still in possession. Up there is Winterbottom. 12 metres out. And they have it again from Squire. Campbell again. Upended that side. About 10 metres out, and still in possession of the Lions. Lovely pick up by Irwin. Tackled in turn by Dunn. And the Lions mounting the pressure this time. But New Zealand survives, and the whistle goes. Well, no shortage of commitment and a willingness, certainly it would seem, to spin this ball, which few had expected, perhaps not the All Blacks. So the scrummage put in about 15 metres out. But the front rows came in. The Lions are penalised. Slipping the binding, I think, may have been the indication there. And a penalty which allows Houston the chance to clear the danger. And safely out on the 10-metre line. So 27 minutes gone and level still at 6 points all. Paxton waits at the back. And Holmes seemed to take a bit of a bang then as he went round on the long throw. And is still in fact left there on the pitch. And it was on the long throw that Paxton went for, and it was an accidental collision, it would seem, that has caused the problem for Terry Holmes, who of course is regarded as one of the key figures in this Lions side, playing today with Ollie Campbell for only the second time in their career. And there's Roy Laidlaw, prepared to take over as replacement, the player standing up with that anxious look from the Lions replacements bench. Well, there was the long throw with Mexted and Paxton contesting. Holmes comes round, and in fact it was Holmes who was leaping at the tail, in fact, on the long throw, and it may well have been a muscular injury as he went up for it. And clearly that right leg is causing the problems. And this is indeed grim news. And it may have been a bad landing. And Kevin Murphy, the Lions physiotherapist, is there to assist as Roy Laidlaw prepares to take the field as replacement. Holmes, well, anxious, I'm sure, to stay on. But attention certainly required. But that's what he thinks, that he is fit to continue, and brushes aside the medical men, and Laidlaw still sensibly standing by and warming up in preparation should he be needed. 10 metres outside New Zealand's 22. Winterbottom in possession. And the throw-in again was not straight enough.
It's a shame that Holmes is going. I was just about to say that this is the finest game he's had on tour, or finest part of a half he's had on tour.
And there, the sad sight of Terry Holmes having to leave the field with that what looks to be damaged ankle. So the Lions down to 14. The charge down of Loveridge's initial clearance, and the ball in touch on the full. So Laidlaw up and down the touchline and given permission to come on as replacement for Terry Holmes. Then back from that stand-in scrum half position, and on there is Roy Laidlaw for his first British Isles Test appearance. On the peel is Graham Price, inside the New Zealand 22. A lively-looking bunch of Lions. Spearheaded there by Norton, driving towards the all-back post. A couple of metres out, Laidlaw, Campbell, Ackerman, going through, just a metre short. And over the top go the Lions in their anxiety to get there. So close to a try, but a penalty in the end to New Zealand. Ackerman there, so close. And an injury to New Zealand, and that is Alan Wetton. Gary Wetton, the New Zealand second row. Well, it was a lovely peel by Price, straightening up well off the tap down from Winterbottom. And then the drive here, Norstad did so well, and there was the wedge of support, and as close to the New Zealand goal line as that. Out from Laidlaw to Campbell, and here's where Ackerman ducks through the challenge of Hewson and tried, I think, to get the pass out. Fraser just got in the way. Wetton is back, and Hewson puts it out of play just beyond the 22-metre line.
When the Lions there had that rolling ruck or ball towards the goalpost. I think that's the lowest I've seen their bodies on the whole of this tour. That was a marvellous run.
Shortened line out called by Fitzgerald again, but round comes Hayden. But the Lions have won it. Laidlaw poised, Fitzgerald the feed. Through is Dave Irwin. The kick worked well, the Lions trying to drive him over. Squire claims the try, but again not given. And New Zealand looking vulnerable. Houston tested and in trouble again. Just a couple of metres out. New Zealand with the feed. Back to Ian Dunn, standing deep.
Well, it was more than Alan Houston in trouble. He didn't even try to stick that ball up.
There the cruel luck for Terry Holmes, with that knee bandaged, as the throw-in is about 4 metres out from New Zealand's goal line. Back from Loveridge to Ian Dunn, got that one in sharply. So Dunn under real pressure in defence. And the British Isles, the applause for the sympathy to Terry Holmes as he's taken off. Campbell, Irwin, the switch move to McNeil, good tackle by Warwick Taylor. But Squire in support, Roger Baird unfortunately tripped. Irwin setting it up again though. From Laidlaw, Campbell looks for the drop goal. From the narrow angle, just past the right-hand post. And ironic cheers as Houston caught that one safely. Takes the quick drop out. Inside from Fraser, a foot in touch. And that was neatly done and quick thinking by Bernie Fraser and Alan Houston together. And of course an old Wellington partnership in action for New Zealand. About 5.5 minutes plus injury time to go in this first half. 6 points all the score. And Winterbottom breaks off with Kieran Fitzgerald in support. 12 metres out from the goal line. Across comes Jock Hobbs. And certainly the Lions pack putting up their best performance of the tour on the day when it matters most. Winterbottom so lively there to come storming away from the line out. Steal possession. Colclough poised alongside Hayden, but it's long, but won by Mexford initially. Round comes John Ashworth. Still inside New Zealand's 22. Loveridge has it back to Dunn. Again the left foot required and safely struck.
Well, we've now got a period where the Lions are putting on tremendous pressure, and it's the only thing that just stops them going the whole way is the line out again. They're still having trouble at the back, particularly against Mexford.
And it's the Lions throw into this one through Fitzgerald, knowing the importance of that role. That's well back from Colclough, but a penalty it is, in fact, for coming through against Gary Wetton, number 5 there. And that gives Ollie Campbell a chance for the kick at goal. Wetton penalised at this set piece. Through and clearly offside. So there's the distance for Ollie Campbell. Penalty and a drop goal already in this match. 39 points on tour. Can he give them the lead? Ollie Campbell. Impeccable. And that really has been the outstanding characteristic of his place kicking throughout this tour. The practice pays, and here's the perfection. 3 minutes to half time, and the Lions lead 9 points to 6. All the points from the boots of Ollie Campbell. To restart by Houston. And Colclough bowled over then. Back to Loveridge, trying to snipe up the narrow side. Lovely reverse pass to Wilson. Tremendous acceleration. The pick up by Ashworth. Driving deep inside the Lions 22. About 10 metres out. And it's there again for Loveridge to Dunn. Warwick Taylor. Precarious little chip through. Back goes Ringland. Across is Roger Baird. It's loose, but Ringland's there to touch it down. But conceding a 5-metre scrummage. And Bernie Fraser shouting comments across to his fellow three-quarters. New Zealand with the put in 5 metres out. Stern looking Francis Palmade on Loveridge. Loveridge is put in. Shaw the near side flank. Not in the first time. And again the front row's caving in. Problem that's beset so many internationals of recent years all over the world. Again the feed. Up to Loveridge, Fraser, and Shaw was held and penalised other Lions. Shaw without possession, clearly held, and a penalty to New Zealand. And again the sharpness of Loveridge, the back row feed up to him, the variation. Mexted there, Loveridge, Fraser, good tackle from Ringland, and there was Shaw without the ball, angered by Winterbottom holding him. Mark Shaw, his 14th international, played against the Lions last Saturday for Manawatu, and who's missed only one test in his international career so far. So setting up the chance for Alan Houston to try and level the scores with about half a minute plus injury time to go in this first half. Houston then, that left foot, but pulling it right across the face of the post. And again the derisive cheers from the Canterbury crowd, who have their own local favourite fullback in Robbie Deans, who's on the bench today. So the Lions stay ahead as we move into injury time at the end of this first half. Drop out by Campbell. Mexted and Wetton was the man to grab it. Hayden round, number 4. And the pile-up ensues.
Well, it's becoming a very good game. It's basically absolutely locked, deadlocked, and it's only the back row and the scrum half, I think, for New Zealand that would probably have a slight advantage.
Loveridge again trying to get the ball into a scrummage that's caving in front of him, and his delay, I think, may have been the reason for the free kick, but difficult circumstances for a scrum half put in when that's happening. Campbell down the touchline. His first international against New Zealand. Colclough, number 4. 8 there is Paxton, 7 Winterbottom, 6 Squire, and obscured just is Robert Norster, number 5. Hayden and support from Shaw. Wilder tap back from an offside position by Ian Stevens. A minute and a half of injury time gone. Houston for touch from the All Blacks 10-metre line. Puts it safely downfield. 10 metres or so outside that line, 22. 9 points to 6. The Lions leading. 2 minutes of injury time played at the end of this first half. Holmes, of course, already off the field with that injured leg. Laidlaw, the replacement in possession. And the Lions are round offside and penalised again to give Houston a chance to level it before the half-time interval. Colclough took that well. But there's the decision. Graham Price caught offside, throwing a wild fist to and penalised. Graham Price in his 50th international, 9th for the British Isles, to add to his 41 for Wales. And the one surviving player of this Lions side to have played in this first test 6 years ago. So Houston has a chance to put the scores level once more. 3 minutes of injury time played, but not his day. And 3 penalty attempts missed by Alan Houston, successful with 2. Drop out by Campbell. And this time New Zealand penalised for obstruction. And that will clear the danger from the Lions 22. Kieran Fitzgerald there just holding the ball, putting his forwards back and leaving it for Campbell, the 29-year-old. And looking in such superb form, finds a safe touch to put the ball out of play to end this first half, with the Lions showing, I think, remarkable form, bearing in mind the lacklustre displays we've seen of late, and leading New Zealand 9 points to 6. 2 penalties and a dropped goal by Campbell, 2 penalties by Houston, 9-6. The British Isles lead at half-time. Campbell to start the second half. Stu Wilson, rather casual with his clearance, and it's taken by Roy Laidlaw, who's been in such fine form on this tour and certainly challenged Holmes for the test place right the way through the announcement of the team. Following through on his own kick ahead that knocked on, and New Zealand get the put into the scrummage. Well, all pretty even at the set-piece scrum so far in the match. Safe strike to Dunn from Loveridge. And another missed clearance. McNeil hoisting it. And Ian Dunn that time in trouble. Squire in possession, and the Lions pack set it up about 8 metres out. And defensively, New Zealand have indeed looked shaky.
But obviously getting a wee bit of the jitters now. Not enough happening from young first 5'8" in his first test. And he's now starting to feel the pressure of what test match rugby is all about.
And Ian Dunn's knock-on allowing the Lions to put into the scrummage about 7 metres out from New Zealand's goal line. 29-year-old Roy Laidlaw adding now to his 22 Scottish caps with his first British Isles test, as cruel luck strikes Terry Holmes once again on the Lions tour. New Zealand wheel, and the ball is there. Paxton, the number 8, supported by Squire and Winterbottom, and in touch. Referee just quietening down a bit of the back chat there. Certainly knows enough English to understand the colloquial comments that may be passed. New Zealand throwing then through Andy Dawson, their captain. Ashworth Hayden, Gary Knight at 3 in the line. Colclough there poised and deflecting it down. Laidlaw though with untidy ball, and through first with Hobbs. Back to Loveridge, inside his 22 for the clearance. And that time, safely away.
I feel the Lions went back to one of their old mistakes there. In the holding the ball in the back row far too long. I think they should pick it up and really go early.
Really one of the errors of the last series here, 77.
Well, it's been prevalent too in the home countries and the home unions too in the last 3 or 4 years. Yes, it has.
Price round from the line out, sets it up for Laidlaw. Campbell. Irwin hoisted ball as Taylor came in. The challenge. Shaw can't hold it. And again, New Zealand looking vulnerable under that high ball. And the Lions make useful ground again, up to the All Blacks 10-metre line. And perhaps the tension of the occasion, the pressure beginning to tell on Ian Dunn, Taylor, And perhaps Houston too. So Laidlaw waits, standing off. Paxton, his little chip, finding touch about 2 metres outside the 22. The ball perhaps which Campbell would like to see come his way from the set piece. The mass terraces of 50,000 here, and the demand for tickets enormous, could have filled the place twice. Looking down on the line out just outside the 22. Obstruction in the line out and a penalty to New Zealand. Francis Palmard, his 50th major international today, and a man respected in all quarters. Houston with the clearance and just making it. Well, certainly the British Isles rising to the occasion. This combination of 6 Welshmen, 5 Irishmen, 2 Englishmen and 2 Scots, putting up the best performance of the series so far. Loosely and perhaps thrown forward by Hobbs, the referee, looking for Lions' advantage. The ball had gone forward, and the British Isles will get the scrummage put in. Roy Laidlaw, Jed Forrest and Scotland. Adding, of course, to the Scottish representation in the side now of 3. Campbell. Have that judgment. Pinning New Zealand back once more to their own 22. That low, scudding ball finding touch and causing problems again for Alan Houston. So New Zealand perhaps shaken with this remarkable recent international run behind them of 9 victories in their last 11 internationals. Dawson then with the throw on the 22. Roy Laidlaw scurrying alertly, but it's back to Loveridge instead. Dunn again, not finding the touch, but it's in eventually off Trevor England. Trevor England, I think, looking into the low sun, dropping over this, stands on this side, having problems there. And the ball in touch on the halfway line. New Zealand throw in through Andy Dalton, the new captain. That was Ashworth getting up high at the front. The drive held up. Still there in the possession of Mexton. And somehow the Lions have stolen that one. Campbell, Irwin. Miscued that as it went across field. And New Zealand uncharacteristically losing clearly one possession then to the Lions at close quarters. So the problems, as you can see, the players shielding their eyes in the Lions' backs, looking into the sun on this glorious winter's day. The Lions leading 9 points to 6 as they did at half-time. Warwick Taylor. And back goes Hugo McNeil. Fraser challenging. And taken away by the Irishman of Blackrock, and now Oxford University, the club he captains the next home season. 10 metres outside the British Isles 22. 22 times capped Andy Dalton with the throw. And Colclough won that one. Round comes Fitzgerald in support. Laidlaw to Campbell. And again, Rockseg. Just inside the Lions half. Again, the variation from New Zealand, trying to use the short throw to Ashworth, and it's eventually back Loveridge with the initial dummy and the drive. Support from the pack. Haynes the link man. Dunn, Taylor, Carey, Houston in the line. And the first time down the All Black three-quarter line.
It was a bit of a pass from a lock forward there, 6'5", and a lovely spiral pass.
Another Harlequin.
Yes, that's right.
Carey really had little chance to show his gifted talent and pace. British Isles 22-metre line. Laidlaw. Wilson well placed. Houston in support. Again, the Wellington partnership, but lacking the adventure. Mark Shaw. John Ash was there. Andy Hayden, Gary Knight, Gary Wett. Mexted looking over the top of them. Down from Colclough, but difficult ball. Mexted loves that kind of possession to come through to the opposition. And a knock-on. Lyons put in. And the front row problems unabating. Referee Palmard sorts it out again. Laidlaw. British Isles 10-metre line. The Lions ahead, 9 points to 6. So Laidlaw feeds Campbell, chips through for Irwin to chase. Baird was there first. Fraser came in to clear up for New Zealand. Loveridge. Support from Hayes. Shaw can't hold it. Down goes Hobbs. Just inside the Lions half, midfield. Fitzgerald offside, but away from Loveridge to Alan Houston. And in fact, the referee, seeing no substantial advantage, gives New Zealand the penalty for the initial infringement. The player offside. And Fitzgerald, the Lions captain, offside, but not let that deter his intention and drive and leadership, which has certainly got the British Isles out of a few tight spots on this tour already in the provincial games. The end result, a chance for Alan Houston, and well within his kicking range. Although today he's been well off form, having missed 3 penalties and being successful with 2. New Zealand trailing 6 points to 9. 11.5 minutes into this second half. Can Alan Houston make it level again? He does so indeed. 3 penalties for Alan Houston, and 9 points for New Zealand, brings it level with this well-struck kick to end his succession of misses. That almost lazy style, but drawing it round and through the post.
Well, Colclough's beaten Hayden down the last 3 line-outs. I wouldn't say classically, but he's at least got the ball back to the line.
And clearly the line-out we'd anticipated as one of the biggest problems for the Lions.
That's what I thought would happen. And what pundit would ever believe, with 10 minutes gone from the second half, they were still level.
Houston, the man to put them level, clears from his own 22. Well, undoubtedly Colclough has taken some time to recover and hit peak form, but it looks as though he's coming good when it matters. Having, of course, not played an international since January the 15th, with that recovery which one had thought of an injury that would keep him out of this test series for certain. But here he is, and now in his element. Winterbottom for the British Isles, on to Ian Stevens. Price setting it up. On the All Blacks 22. Squire taking men out. Laidlaw digging it out himself to Campbell. Irwin on the crash ball, but taken well by Warwick Taylor. But it's still loose, and Stevens retrieves, but is offside. Well, Ian Stevens caught offside, but an understandable error. But firm tackling we've seen from the new second 5/8 Warwick Taylor. And Hewson puts it in touch, quickly taken by Baird. Winterbottom's long feed finds McNeil. And some sharp thinking by the Lions, paying dividends. Hewson, deliberate again, recovering eventually to put it out just beyond the 22. And certainly a player that doesn't inspire confidence in those circumstances.
No, he normally makes up for his helping the three quarters, and they normally have to cover for them. So we normally play fullbacks in New Zealand here.
Just outside the 22, down from Mexted. Loveridge, almost over his left shoulder. And a fine clearance from this class player. First captain against Wales back in 1978. Man who's captained New Zealand in his time too. New Zealand's 10-metre line. Fitzgerald with the throw. There's the New Zealand midfield. Ashworth setting it up. There for Loveridge again. Ian Dunn. In came Ringland. Took it well. And the whistle goes. Ball going forward. Just inside the British Isles half. Loveridge again. Ian Dunn. And Aploy favoured by both sides today. This high ball. Ringland comes in again. New Zealand through on the loose ball, setting it up just outside the 22. Loveridge, the little chip rebounding off the Lions player, picked up by Ian Dunn and forced out by the attentions of Ringland and Fitzgerald. There's the 22-year-old from North Auckland, the youngest of the Dunn rugby playing family. Down to Loveridge, neatly. Dunn, Taylor, to Carey. First chance for him, lovely round the corner pass to Stu Wilson. Inside is Taylor once more. Finds Ian Dunn. Inside the line, 22. Set back by Hobbs. Mark Shaw now and a chance on here for Carey. Hewson, Fraser. Holds for the moment, looks for the inside pass. Picked up by Shaw. And it looks as though New Zealand had lost the chance when Fraser did that little dummy hesitation to go outside, was held, but the ball loose inside went to the hands of Mark Shaw to score the first try of the match and put New Zealand ahead. 16 and a half minutes played. Well, what's the work here of first to Carey, that lovely judgment of the pass. Wilson held, Taylor in support, and now the setup. Hobbs did well, and here was Shaw first, the man who scored it, set up the move. Hewson, Fraser, checked, tried to go outside Ringland, the pass rebounding off Ackerman, and Shaw, no mistake. Hewson's conversion attempt misses, and the boos accompany the failure, but the try for Shaw.
Here it goes. I think Bernie Fraser's been watching this chap Campisi, who does that stutter step. And that was the wee check that you saw him do there. And then he realised he'd lost his pace and had to fire it inside.
From the restart, it's Carey clearing away. Perhaps with the confidence now, Fraser chasing. Carey, the man whose gifted running and magical talent midfield have been such a joy to watch. And New Zealand now with their tails up, with the lead restored, a 4-point lead, 18 minutes into this second half, and with the all-important first try to cross the British Isles line. just outside the British Isles 22. The drive, set up for Loveridge, Dunn, Warwick Taylor, Hewson. Couldn't get the kick in through the attentions there of Bob Ackerman were good. And the ball went forward. So that's the position midfield. And the referee calling the scrummage back to the point of infringement. A suggestion there of a raised knee. And a warning from referee Francis Palmade. And again, an unsatisfactory set piece. So Roy Laidlaw poised. Players don't such a swift, neat service on this door, but a strike against the head for the All Blacks. Andy Dalton, for Carey now, lovely switch to Ian Dunn. Chasing his Fraser, back there's Ringland. Stephen Carey, first seen in action as a 17-year-old for Southland against the British Lions in 1977. And here's the more experienced Andy Dalton, 31 years old. The throw in on the British Isles 22. And a lot of pushing and shoving at that line out. New Zealand are penalised. And referee Francis Palmade certainly keeping the battle down to the minimum at the set piece. Stepping in quickly. So Campbell puts play back inside the New Zealand half. The Lions 4 points behind. Just into the last quarter of the match now. Roy Laidlaw there at scrum half, coming on as replacement for Terry Holmes early in the match with an injured knee. Jock Hobbs at the back, who did well to make that ball available to the back for the eventual try. Just inside New Zealand's half. Loveridge cleaning up on the retreat. With the bottom at the back, Laidlaw up to Campbell. Through to Ackerman, but too long. And Ackerman in some trouble there. Looks as though he may have pulled a muscle as he was tackled on that kick through.
Well, the line-out supremacy has been seesawing, and it's now a marvellous battle again. I do think that New Zealand have got their tails up slightly now, and I think the Lions will really have to show some of this fortitude that Willie John McBride talked about to come back from here.
And which way should they play it?
I think they've got to run it, but the sad thing about it is if you've been playing provincial games, you've been playing 10-a-side rugby. It's very difficult at test level like now when you need it to revert to the other angle.
Well, they've 18 minutes remaining. Cole Clough, whose line-out form has certainly been the best of this tour so far. 18 minutes for the British Isles to come back. They trail 13 points to 9. New Zealand in possession, just inside their own half. And off goes Cowboy Shaw again. Brought down by Squire on the fringes. Out from Laidlaw, Campbell. Still hoisting it deep as he's done most of the match. Cleanly taken by Wilson. And perhaps the time for the Lions to vary the tactic and be a little more bold. Throw from Fitzgerald, deflected by Cole Clough, supported by Squire. But again, loose, Shaw in possession, with the referee bringing them back for a scrummage. There's Murray Muckstead and Jack Hobbs, Mark Shaw. New Zealand's 10-metre line. And the wheel put on by the All Blacks, fed up from Winterbottom to Laidlaw. Campbell, Irwin not taking it cleanly, and man and ball together for the Lions' backs. Jock Cobbs, who's made his mark in this, his first game for New Zealand. Up from Exeter Loveridge. That partnership of 17 internationals now. Dave Loveridge there, and the number 8. Always an important combination. And this is well tried, tested, and superb. Halfway line. Laidlaw, Campbell took it well. Irwin. And that's almost straight up and down. And the Lions really need to try something different. Fraser bearing down on McNeil. That was a brave catch by the Irish fullback. He really did take that bravely under the most enormous pressure and got the mark. Neil for touch. So the final quarter of an hour plus whatever injury time there is to add on. The Lions 4 points behind, having really given a rousing display in the first half to lead at the interval before New Zealand came back with try by Mark Shaw, his 5th in Test rugby and indeed his 3rd in a row in internationals. Laidlaw with the scrummage feet just on the halfway line. Slips has tried to feed out. Jeff Squire did well. Price and Stevens, but it's lost and taken by Loveridge to Warwick Taylor to clear the trouble. Over the head of McNeil. Back inside the Lions 22. And that was a fine riposte from Hugo McNeil. Fraser, the man chasing and bearing down again on the Lions fullback.
1-1.
Hobbs and Winterbottom at the tail. The 5 to contest. Nostra and Wet. Paxton in there, supported by Fitzgerald. He's the link man to Laidlaw. Irwin with the dummy. On the loop round is Campbell. Winterbottom in support. And offside against Ackerman. Into the last 11 minutes. Plus injury time of this match. New Zealand 13 points to 9 in the lead. Warm favourites in the build-up to this test, and of course a side with the record and history of internationals against the British Isles so much in their favour.
I saw Hayden there telling Paul Mard that he's been obstructing the line-out, or trying to demonstrate that he was.
No doubt in French. Hayden, of course, being pretty fluent in that language. But the Lions in possession. Long feed from Campbell, the mismove straight to Ackerman. Now Ringland. Held on the halfway line. Popped up by McNeil. And finally in touch as the Lions try to expand their game in these last 10 minutes or so of the match. David Irwin, who had one good bursting run just a couple of minutes ago, and Ackerman, the hard man of the midfield. playing together for the first time on tour in this match. And Jock Hobbs is the player requiring attention from Peter Stokes, the New Zealand physio, who was in turn a physiotherapist on the tour of 1966 for the British Lions when Willie John McBride was in that party as a player.
Jock Hobbs is very much in the war, but what a marvellous retreat.
So we're now into the last 10 minutes.